Imagine a man who went from a small Alabama town to leading the most valuable company on earth. A quiet, disciplined engineer who stepped into the shoes of Steve Jobs and not only kept Apple alive, but took it to heights the world never imagined. This is the story of Tim Cook, the leader who proved you don't need to be the loudest person in the room to change the world. Timothy Donald Cook, born November 1, 1960, in the small town of Mobile, Alabama, and raised in nearby Robertsdale, grew up miles away from Silicon Valley yet carried within him the discipline, integrity, and quiet determination that would one day make him one of the most influential leaders in global technology. Raised by his father, Donald, a shipyard worker, and his mother, Geraldine, a pharmacist, Cook's childhood was shaped by modest means, Southern values, and a strong work ethic that taught him the importance of humility, responsibility, and consistency long before he ever stepped foot into a corporate boardroom, and even in his early years he displayed a calm, analytical mind and a deep commitment to doing things the right way, a trait his teachers admired and his peers respected. After graduating from Robertsdale High School as a diligent and disciplined student, Cook enrolled at Auburn University, where he pursued a degree in industrial engineering, a path that would introduce him to systems thinking, operational problem-solving, and the complexities of supply chains, fields he would later revolutionize at Apple. Cook excelled academically, graduating in 1982 and joining IBM as a young engineer determined to prove himself, and during his 12 years with the company he steadily rose through the ranks, taking on increasingly demanding roles, earning an MBA from Duke University's Fuqua School of Business, and graduating in the top of his class as a Fuqua scholar. Cook's early career was marked by a calm intensity. He wasn't loud, he wasn't flashy, and he wasn't driven by ego. Instead, he was driven by precision, efficiency, and a relentless desire to optimize, qualities that caught the attention of leaders who recognized his rare ability to transform complex operations into highly streamlined, cost-efficient systems. And after IBM, he continued to build his reputation through key roles at Intelligent Electronics and later at Compaq, where he served as Vice President of Corporate Materials. Though his time at Compaq was brief, it was pivotal, because it was during this period that Tim Cook received a life-changing phone call from Steve Jobs, who had just returned to Apple in 1997 and was urgently searching for someone to help rescue the company from its near collapse. And while most executives saw Apple as too risky, too unstable, and too close to failure, Cook saw something different. He saw potential, vision, and a boldness that matched his own internal compass. Defying logic and ignoring warnings from colleagues, Cook made a decision that stunned the corporate world. He left the enormously secure path at Compaq to join Apple, a company that at the time was losing money, shrinking in influence, and fighting to survive. Cook didn't join Apple because it was safe. He joined because he believed in what it could become, and upon arriving, he immediately set to work transforming the very backbone of the company, its operations. With surgical precision, he redesigned Apple's supply chain, slashed production times, eliminated inefficient processes, closed factories that were draining resources, and introduced a just-in-time manufacturing model that drastically reduced inventory costs and increased responsiveness. And within a few short years, Cook's operations genius helped turn Apple from a struggling manufacturer into one of the most efficient and profitable companies in the world. As Apple developed breakthrough products, like the iMac, iPod, iPhone, and iPad, Cook's operational mastery ensured that the company could deliver innovation at an unprecedented scale, and behind the scenes he became the steady force Steve Jobs relied on, a calm strategist to balance Jobs' fiery visionary energy. Cook was not a showman, not an inventor, not a charismatic on-stage performer. Instead, he was the brilliant architect who made sure the machine could run, and could run flawlessly. His loyalty, consistency, and relentless work ethic made him indispensable to Apple's revival. And as Steve Jobs' health declined, Cook increasingly stepped in to manage the company during critical periods, proving time and again that he could uphold Apple's values, protect its culture, and operate with the same standard of excellence that Jobs demanded. In August 2011, as Steve Jobs prepared to step down, he recommended Tim Cook as his successor. And though the tech world questioned whether anyone could fill the shoes of such an iconic visionary, Jobs knew what others did not. That Cook wasn't meant to be a second Steve Jobs. He was meant to lead Apple in his own way, with his own style, and with his own strengths. Becoming CEO at the world's most valuable technology company was not simply a promotion. It was a defining moment in business history, and Cook approached it with humility, respect, and an unwavering commitment to Apple's mission of creating products that enrich lives. Under Cook's leadership, Apple entered a new era of growth, stability, and global influence, launching transformative products such as the Apple Watch, AirPods, the M-series chips, and major updates to the Mac, iPad, and iPhone lines, while also expanding into services including Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, Apple Arcade, Apple Fitness Plus, Apple Card, and iCloud. These services reshaped Apple from a hardware-focused company into a diversified ecosystem, dramatically increasing recurring revenue and helping Apple reach unprecedented financial heights. In 2018, Apple became the first U.S. company in history to reach a $1 trillion market valuation, later surpassing $2 trillion and even $3 trillion under Cook's steady leadership, a feat unmatched by any CEO in history. But Cook's influence extended far beyond finances. He championed privacy as a fundamental human right, positioned Apple as a global leader in environmental responsibility, committed the company to using 100% renewable energy, set rigorous sustainability goals, and launched major health initiatives leveraging Apple Watch technology to support heart research and personal wellness. Cook, known for his quiet strength and deeply principled leadership, also became a powerful voice for social justice, equality, and inclusion, pushing Apple to foster diverse representation and creating the Racial Equity and Justice Initiative to support underserved communities. While he avoids the spotlight and rarely discusses his personal life, Cook made history in 2014 by becoming the first openly gay CEO of a Fortune 500 company, a moment he hoped would help others feel less alone and more empowered to embrace who they are. Through all his achievements, Cook never sought to replicate Steve Jobs but instead forged his own path. A leadership style built on patience, clarity, empathy, precision, and long-term strategy. He maintained Apple's culture of innovation while also expanding its global footprint, strengthening its privacy protections, transforming its supply chain into one of the world's most advanced, and quietly guiding the company through crises, from geopolitical conflicts to the COVID-19 pandemic, with stability and resolve. Though often underestimated early in his tenure, Cook proved himself to be one of the most successful CEOs of all time, turning Apple into the most valuable company in world history and building a legacy grounded not in spectacle but in consistency, operational brilliance, and unwavering commitment to Apple's core belief that great technology can improve people's lives. And so, as we reflect on Tim Cook's extraordinary journey, from a humble Alabama upbringing to becoming the leader of a global tech empire, we see not a story of luck, but a story of discipline, courage, values, and the quiet power of staying true to one's purpose. A story that shows the world that leadership doesn't always require the loudest voice. Sometimes it simply requires the strongest character. And if Tim Cook's life teaches us anything, it's this: greatness isn't always born from noise, flash, or fame. Sometimes it's forged in silence, in discipline, in choosing the harder path when everyone else chooses the easy one. So as we dive into the remarkable life of Tim Cook, prepare to discover the story of the man who stepped into the shoes of a legend, redefined leadership for a new era, and quietly built the most valuable company the world has ever seen.